Hi and welcome back to Jody Lewis Creations. This is part 2 of the file folder folio. This is my prototype, so if you didn't see part 1, please go back and watch it because I talk about how we cut the file folder and all that. So I used some Tim Holtz paper, the Paper Stash by Tim Holtz. All I have left in this is the 6x6, 3x4, and 3x3 squares. I have used the rest of them. If you've been watching me, you know I have my ephemera folios, and I apparently used all of my Tim Holtz papers, the big 12x12 ones for that, but that's okay because this is a prototype, and the other one that I'm making for the actual swap, I'm using an 8x8 paper pad, so it's fine. Just image-wise, it made it just a little more challenging to make my images fit, but I'm really happy with how this is coming out. I will say that it took me, this is still 22 today, but this is evening, so it's dark again. I apologize for lighting if it's an issue for you. But anyway, I will tell you that cutting around the tabs and stuff is challenging. My person that I really bounce these things off of, my creator, is involved in the swap, so I can't ask her, like, does this look okay? Because I'm creating this, you know, for the swap, so I don't want her to see what I'm making. Or not this one, but the style. Anyway, so I asked about cutting this. I said, gosh, is there a trick or something to cutting the paper around these? And she's like, nope. And I was like, okay, well, that was not the answer I was hoping for. But anyway. Okay, so everything's just paper clipped in. I did say that I did go around all the edges with the ground espresso, but I found that with the papers, I didn't like it as well. And so here you'll see, I actually was testing the ground espresso, the walnut stain, and the black soot with these Tim Holtz papers to see what I liked the best. I personally ended up liking the walnut stain better, so that's what I went with, but any of the colors would have gone well. And I didn't try vintage photo. I wanted a darker look. So hopefully it will all turn out kind of like I'm hoping. That's kind of a silly statement, but whatever. Anyway. So everything's just paper clipped where it's going to go. So what I want to do now is on a few of these, like this page, this is so in theory, of course it's always theory, right? My journal is going to be sewn into this part. So I really would like to maybe stitch around this. I just want to add some stitching. I just like the way stitching looks. Oh, I don't have... Well, I thought I had black in my sewing machine, so I'll have to swap that. It's getting dark, so I don't know if I'll be able to see well enough to do that. But anyway, I just want to add a little bit of stitching. I love the texture that it gives. I like the strings, and I know that this is a prototype for me, but if it's going to be for me, then I should, like, do what I want with it, right? So anyway, I'm going to do that. And then I am going to start gluing pieces in. And then we will start building the journal and embellishing the pieces, because again, we need to know, is my 1-inch spine big enough for an embellished journal, and is my 3/8-inch spine big enough for having the flip and the pockets and everything here. And then I'm also contemplating putting a flip down on this side, or just something on this side. I just don't know what I want to do with that yet, but we'll figure it out as we go. So right now I'm going to switch out the thread in my sewing machine and just stitch around. If you're stitching on your paper, please remember, if you're doing a straight stitch, to lengthen your stitch, because if you do the standard 2.5 stitch that's like for quilting or sewing, it will perforate your paper, and it can easily tear. You don't want that. I generally do anywhere from a 3 to a 4 depending on what I'm sewing. And then zigzag stitch is a little different because it's zigzagging and you've got a little bit of room that they're not right together. So that's a little bit more of a flexible but definitely be mindful and know your sewing machine, especially before you sew on something that you really want to have come out nicely, like practice. Okay, I'll be back later. Thanks. Oh my gosh, so I've only just literally sewn this one piece. It's the one I started with, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love it. It came out really cool. Really, really cool. So I'm really excited I did it. Yeah, I love that. That's really neat. Oh, and I think I told you guys that I did this flip down at 7.5 inches, which I did, and I scored that at half, but I actually cut it down to 6.25. And the reason that I did that on this one is because, like I said, I'm using this Tim Holtz paper pad, and all I have left is like the 6x6 and the small pieces of this pad. So I did that because I really wanted to use this image, and I love all these numbers and stuff in here. So I use this and cut it down when I do the swap one, because I'm using the full 8x8 pad. I'll have the option to use the full length. And I know I said I wanted to tab punch or decorative punch the bottom of this, but that's actually not what I think I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna put have some black lace that I want to put here that I think will be really pretty. So there's that. But anyway, so that's that piece. And then on the back piece, I struggled because I love this and the little bird's so sweet. But I am in love with this 5. So that's going to go on there and make a little belly band. So he's going to flip up like this, and then we'll have this as our belly band. Oh, get on screen. So he'll be down, and then we'll flip up, and then I'll have this little belly band on the inside, which will be kind of fun because we can stick something in there, and then when we flip that up, we don't have to worry about it falling out or being upside down. So I'm going to stitch around this, and I'm like, do I stitch around that and then stitch around? I don't know. I'm really wanting to, because I've been working on that Alice journal, and that has been so bright and white, and this is just wonderfully just, yeah, I'm loving it. So anyway, I'm just going to keep stitching, but I did want to show you this piece because I was so excited. I had to come back and tell you how much I love it. Anyway, I'll be back. Okay, 2 things. Sorry about that. 2 things. Number 1, be very careful. Don't get overly excited when you're gluing, because I just glued this down, and I need to put my flippy thingy in here. So do be mindful. And I did decide to change who was going where, but I have to get this glued down because I've put glue on this piece, and I wasn't even, I don't know, I was just into this and not paying attention to what I'm doing. Well, I am, but I'm really excited. So I'm just, I'm excited because I want to see what the result of this is going to be. Because I'm excited for it. I said that. I don't need to keep saying it, do I? Anyway, so do be mindful. And because, thank God I'm using 3-in-1 versus art glitter glue, because boy, I'd really be in trouble. And this is already sticking. Oh, so be mindful of that. And I'm just sharing this with you because I don't want you to ruin your work when this is a lot of work to do this. I mean, it seriously took me like all day to pick out my papers and get them cut and ink everything, and it is a lot of work. So if you're going to take this on, know that it's a lot of work. It's not something that you're going to have done right away. I mean, I got up super early this morning and started working on it, and at work today I had ridiculous hold times with insurance companies, so that allowed me to be able to just, while I was sitting attached to the computer, and I could work on this, you know. And you know, you may not need to ink around everything or whatever. You may have the option to, you know, just choose your papers and it won't be so hard. But I love this, and because of trying to use that paper pad, that did pose a little bit of a challenge as far as trying to fit the images and see what was going to work. So I will say that was a little bit challenging, which I already said. The other thing to be super aware of, and I say super aware of, not being dramatic, but don't do like I did, I almost glued, this is the side that I wanted to be showing on my pocket, and guess who almost glued the other side up. And I do like the image on the other side, but it didn't flow well with this, which I wanted, because I wanted something that would kind of complement, you know. And I did change my mind on the which one was going to be on the front, because I don't want to cut all my strings. So this one's going to go on the front here, and then this one is going to be there. So when we flip up, that'll be there, which means I have to figure out what I'm doing there, because if I do this, then all of my strings are going to, well, I mean, they'll still be there, but it won't be like as tactile. I don't know. I'll think about it. I'm not there yet anyway. Okay, so anyway, I just wanted to tell you those couple things, and because I don't want, like I said, I don't want your work to be ruined. If you've gone through all of this work, you certainly don't want to glue something in the wrong order or whatever, so just be very, very mindful. Okay, I'll keep going on it, and then I'll be back. Of course, I'll be back. Okay, another quick note is, if you, like, this is gonna go here, and I was just like, because I had it set over here and it was right, so it was the uninked side up, and I thought I inked everything. I'm like, oh gosh, which side was I gonna use, you know? And I was like, no, I wanted this side. And anyway, so when I was cutting the papers and stuff, and I took it back apart to put the walnut stain ink on, I actually had put sticky notes for which piece went where. So if you're not using a double-sided paper, of course, then it's easy. You can label you could like go A, B, C, D for your panels, and then number or label or letter or whatever the back of your pieces. But this paper is what it is, and so I just honestly didn't even think to take a magic marker to the back of it, which would have shown up. But I'll tell you, pencil was really hard when I was making marks to cut these. But I do recommend some way of marking them for where you intend them to be, because even though this is all the same day for me, I'm struggling with when I pull it off or have pulled it off, I'm like, where did I mean for that to go? So I don't want you to have the same problem. So definitely keep that in mind as you're building and deciding on what pieces you want to use. In some way, shape, or form, mark them. You know, sticky notes, write on the back of them, whatever. Just do something so you keep track of your pieces. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Okay, so just another note, because as I'm coming across things, I need to throw that away. When I'm coming across things as I'm working on it, I'm just trying to come back and say, hey, blah, blah. So if you're sewing on paper, be mindful of your bobbin, because I got lucky and that was all I had left on my bobbin when I did this one. So, I mean, literally less than a foot of string left. And I only wanted to do the one edge because I didn't want to try to get around the curves and everything. But fortunately, I had enough on my bobbin. So now I have to wind a new bobbin. But yeah, just be mindful of that, because it really is multiple times. I can't tell you how many times I've run out of bobbin thread, and then I'm trying to match my needle in the holes in my paper. It's not like fabric where you can run your finger across it and seal those holes up. So do definitely keep that in mind. And I do hope that you're attempting to work on a file folder journal, folio, whatever this is called. And I mean, I am literally having so much fun. And again, maybe it's because I've been working on that Alice journal, which has been so white, and I was craving doing something a little darker like this, which I'm going to do with the Stamperia Alice journal at some point. I don't know when right now. And anyway, so I'm just enjoying this immensely. Anyway, so that's all I'm going to say right now. I'm going to just continue. I have to wind a new bobbin and just keep going. And then see where we are when I'm done, and start getting ideas for how we want to embellish it. Okay, so everything is stitched in glue, except this flap, because I still have not made a decision. And except this, because I still have not made a decision. My dilemma with this pocket is everything else is going upright or this way. This is going this way. And this was going this way, but I stitched this on here to hide it. So this, and it's just not big enough for that. So I'm like, I don't know. I didn't want to cut another big scrap to make that work. But, I mean, I guess I could probably put things the right direction, but it doesn't matter. You'll get the gist. And luckily, I've got time on this. I can wait and then make a decision. None of these papers were right. This is where I truly needed the 12 by 12 paper. I might be able to cut some scraps and make a frame or something. I don't know. I don't know what I want to do with this yet. But, like I said, it's my prototype, so it's okay. I'm really, genuinely loving this. It's coming out really cool. I'm really looking forward to embellishing it. I know it's a prototype, but it's pretty cool. So when you get to this point, I have not strengthened the spines yet, and I can tell they do feel a little flimsy. I'm thinking one thing I need to do differently in the, oh, there's my outside spine right there. Piece. One thing I need to do differently in the one that I'm making for the swap is I do need to put like paper tape or something. I am a little concerned that these folds are going to struggle. So do keep in mind, I didn't allow for, I almost glued the wrong side of that. I didn't allow for any kind of fabric reinforcement or washi or paper tape or any kind of what you would use for reinforcement on this. But I'm thinking I can make that up with lace or muslin or something. And I will probably do that still, just to make sure this is strong enough to hold. I mean, it's going to be strong enough to hold like where it's stitched through because it's going to have paper, and on the inside it's going to have the file folder. But this itself is what I'm afraid it's going to tear. So I'm going to think about that, and it is just for me. This one is. So I think it'll be okay. And honestly, if I just fill this full of like grungy, antique-y whatevers, it's gonna make me happy as a clam. So anyway, that's where I'm at right now. I think I'm gonna be done with working on this tonight. I might just gather some papers, but I'm not gonna glue anything else, and I'm not gonna stitch anything else. Oh, I stitched this as an afterthought. Absolutely, if you want to stitch a pocket with all that thickness, do it before you glue it. I went very slowly, but my sewing machine was like, what are you doing, Minnie? So just be careful with that. If you make sure that before you glue any pockets or anything, you stitch whatever it is that you want to stitch. No sense in harming our sewing machines in the making of these folios. All right, so I will see you guys later in the morning, most likely, hopefully. And this all needs, I've got something that's sticking and I don't feel anything, but it keeps wanting to stick, so I need to let it dry really well. Okay, well, I'm really happy with this so far, and I'll see you guys probably in the morning.